Hello everybody, hope that you are very well and welcome to tonight's Contenders live stream, the 61 on, that's the date, the 29th of July. I always keep delayed on the July, 29th of July today. And we got a nice Contenders live stream today, and I know that you're all thoroughly looking forward to just over 1 week now when we start a World Series of Trading. I see so many hype people. I'm extremely hyped about it, looking forward to it. And tonight we're going to be going over a tactic that you can definitely be using in the World Series of Trading competition. So it's going to be a good one. And I hope that you thoroughly enjoy this video. So let's get straight into it tonight. Really, really good. So yeah, let's go. Always got to start with the trade disclaimer. Okay, so as always, if you just want to read through this a second, make sure you understand, no financial advice, and then we can proceed. As you can probably tell, my throat is, I've been listening to the advice of the people and yeah, I've been taking a lot of remedies and my throat does seem to be improving, so I appreciate all the advice. So let's go into tonight's stream. Obviously, the Contenders live stream. We're going to be starting with basic attention token chart of the week. Okay, this is actually a really, really nice one. So I am excited to show you this setup. We're then going to be going over to the VWAP. Okay, a lovely tool right now. I'm not sure why, but this has just suddenly become extremely well respected. Let's just say that it's just become really well respected, and yeah, it's been brilliant to sculpt with this lately. It's just given so many trades. It's definitely like the tool to be using at the moment. So I want to cover that, and then we're going to be ending with the questions about either basic attention token or VWAP. Okay, so questions about what we're covering tonight. So with that said, let's begin. Basic attention token. As you'll know, basic attention token is one of my favorite altcoins to trade. When I like to trade alts, I love to trade basic attention token because this asset is extremely technical. Okay, it respects Fibonacci and volume to just perfection. You know, I have like a list of 5 altcoins, as you know, that I absolutely love to trade just because they respect the technicals so very well, and BAT is one of those altcoins that I just love to trade when I trade altcoins. Okay, and this was the setup that I was looking for. Okay, it was well, let's just go to the next screen. A long after a reclaim of the point of control, take profit at the weekly, so that's take profit 1, and the trade setup invalidation is below the monthly. So e.g., I'm waiting for price to reclaim the point of control, so not longing where it is, I'm waiting for price to get above and claim the point of control. Then I'm looking up for take profit 1 weekly, take profit 2, the top weekly, to be honest with you. Okay, and once I've entered that long position with a claim at a point of control, the invalidation is then back below the monthly level. Okay, so I hope that you all understand that setup. I am going to load over to the chart, okay, so you can actually see what this looks like, and I'll talk you through it because it's, yeah, this is what we mean by BAT respecting technical analysis. Obviously, first of all, to have this, you obviously had that ABCD pattern, and then from that ABCD pattern you went up in this really nice channel. Okay, really nice channel, and then in the end obviously you broke you broke down from this channel, you know, coinciding with Bitcoin going absolutely crazy. So obviously the Bitcoin volatility is negatively affecting alts. That's, you know, a given. So really, you know, that's kind of what happened. As soon as you lost that channel, it back tested it, and from there it's just gone down and down and down. So this is what we mean though, like really well respected the technicals, even the loss of the channel and the back test before the drop in price. As you can see, that was connecting the channel from D to the high down to this next series of lows. Okay, you can see how it absolutely perfectly rejected off of the weekly and the high of the channel, came back down to the weekly, got a secondary bounce off the middle of the channel, back down, loses the channel here, back tests that channel, comes all the way down, slightly front runs monthly. But you know why? Because you obviously have this high area of liquidity down at those lows, which it kind of takes before the bounce. And this is where it just gets even better, to be honest with you. Like, even better than that technical trading that I've just showed you there. Obviously, what we were looking at is waiting for the reclaim of the level and have a, you know, it's just perfect. What happened? You came up, you touched the point of control. As you can see, rejection, you fall all the way down to literally taking this low, which is also, have a guess what, coming into the 6-6 region. Okay, so you have like that CC, the liquidity, and so it's, I don't know, I just love these sort of examples because it's just really nice. I'm not taking any aggressive entries down here, by the way. I'm not going to be doing that. But so my plan remains the same: wait for a move off, you know, reclaim at that point of control, I suppose I might be interested if it does something like this, you know, and works its way back off at a monthly. But you know, I'm happy to wait for that point of control reclaim for the time being. I'll show you where I got that point of control from, by the way, if anybody's confused. And just by the way, let me just show you this as well. Look how well respected. You're obviously in a really defined range here, aren't you? Where that's clearly the high of the range, and then you have really the low of the range around this month. Sorry, that lower monthly, and you can see how this point of control has just been so well respected. So really, you're like doing this, aren't you? I mean, how perfect is that of the range? Let me just hide everything so you can actually see. If we just hide that and hide that, I mean, it's just such a well-defined range. And what do we love to say? Everybody that tried to break out by the breakout, wrecked. Anybody that tried to short the lows, you know, wrecked. So we like to say that here because we love to trade the range. Okay, so this is a lovely example of a range traded, range bound asset. Okay. And you know, I just love the fact that the highs was really well defined by that weekly. As you can see, weekly resistance, 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 and then this lower weekly. Just look at the respect in terms of being an SR level throughout the whole of the period. You know, it's just so well respected many times to the sat. And then for this point of control, let's just show you where I got that from. So we're taking out the indicators, the fixed range tool. And I think we all agree this is where the range started, isn't it? So where the range started to where we are. Look at that. Point of control, perfection, perfection, perfection. Just so nice. Okay. So yeah, going from the start of that range to the end of the range. And obviously, historically, we all know BAT has also been in this range for a long time. It spends a lot of time at those lows before it obviously had its run, before coming back in and getting acceptance into that range, and then just being absolutely perfectly technically traded as we've kind of come accustomed to on basic attention token. Lovely asset. Like, I have big love for this asset because it trades so well. So yeah, that's basically the setup. Okay, so what am I waiting for? Just to show you one more time while we're on the chart. Really, I'm waiting for this. Okay, the actual claim of the level. Okay, then looking out for weekly and weekly. Really as simple as that, if I'm honest. So yeah, I have high hopes for BAT once it does that, to be honest. So yeah, that's basic attention token. I hope you understand that setup. So with that said, let's go on to this. You know what we're here tonight for, and that is the volume weighted average price. Oh, that's still very hot. I'm not accustomed to hot things, but anyway, for the volume weighted average price. So firstly, what is volume weighted average price? The volume weighted average price is really simply a support and resistance line. But why is the volume weighted average price so nice? It's because it's to work it out, you are taking the price and volume. So as you know, we love to trade price action inside of Chart Champions, and we also love our volume statistics. So when we're looking at the delta, when we're looking at the volume supporting a rise, you know, this is a lot, we've placed a lot of focus on volume, like supporting a rise. So to have a indicator essentially which is incorporating price and volume is just really strong. Okay, strong for us. So the volume weighted average price though is essentially a support and resistance level. Okay, and this is dynamic. When you're below the level, you expect resistance. When you're above the level, you expect support. Okay, so that's the simplified version of what it is. I've got so many examples for you, and then we can go over onto the chart on it. Just such a lovely indicator. But yeah, you can obviously, the reason why the volume weighted average price is a nice level is because there is a lot of volume that's transacted at this level. It does benefit scalpers that like to trade with bigger size. So let me give you an example. Let's say 1 week ago on Bitcoin, where the volume was extremely low. Okay, volume was extremely low last week. Obviously, it's picked up now because we're increasing in price. But last week the volume was extremely low. Okay, we were going sideways and sideways and sideways, and volume was dropping off and dropping off and dropping off as it does in a sideways range. You know, so it's very difficult as a scalp trader to trade in those conditions. Okay, as you know. For me, last week it was difficult to scalp trade. You basically got like 1 or 2 trades a day, and that was it. Because if you try and trade with a lot of size in those conditions, you just have unreal slippage. Okay, the slippage is really bad, or you just cannot fill positions. So it's very difficult. So when you are buying off of a VWAP confluence, it's easier to fill bigger size, because obviously that's where there's a lot of volume transacted. So you could use this to, obviously, if you're an institutional trader or you're trading with a lot of capital, many of these types of traders are going to be looking towards the VWAP or for entries, because of the fact you can almost like well, you can just get filled with with little to not, obviously never say none, but little slippage, because you are, it's a high volume level where there's been a lot of previous transacted volume. And that generally is going to be the case. Okay, so excuse me. It's basically a support and resistance level that is really favored by traders that use a lot of position size. I mean, if you are trading with 1,000 contracts, then it doesn't really matter where you enter. If you're trading with 7 figures, then you are really interested in the volume weighted average price. Okay, so it's obviously brilliant. This is at the moment. So I literally, over the past 7 days, since this rise has been started, so basically 7 days Bitcoin's been in a trend. So trending markets, it's really nice. Obviously you can use it in these sideways markets, but you get one trade a day, where recently we've been seeing just so many trades off the volume weighted average price. It's just insane at the moment. It's just so amazing at the moment. As you know, like earlier in the week, I was giving hints of what I was doing on tonight's live stream. I was just giving examples, and then everyone was just like, wow, what is this? Yeah, I think a lot of people were excited for tonight, because I was showing them how well this has been working. It has been insane. Obviously insane in a very good way. So volume weighted average price, let me just show you that this is it on TradingView. And volume weighted average price, you can use it in a few different ways. Okay, you can use it on a very high term time frame, such as a swing trader or position trader, and you can use it down on the 1 minute chart, like I like to use it, okay, as a scalp trader. So I will say I only use this as a scalp trader. I do not use this well, that's a lie. Obviously, in my daily update sheet, I give you the weekly VWAP every week, but every day, sorry. But I mean, I don't really, well, I guess it's because I just don't really trade such high time frames. But nevertheless, you can use it across all time frames. That's what I want to say. So this is a yearly VWAP. Okay, so this is the yearly VWAP that you see here. So high time frame VWAP is a very strong support and resistance level. Okay, when price is above the VWAP, it is above value, and when it is below, it is below value. To the left, this is the yearly VWAP, and you can just see how it supports the whole of the trend every time, bouncing, touching, bouncing, touching, bouncing. So it supports the whole of the move up until you lose the level, and then it's resistance, and then you obviously got that big drop to 3k before you go up. Here it doesn't actually act as resistance, so you can say you would have definitely lost the trade trying to short this next touch of the VWAP. Okay, that's just part of the game. As you go through, and then you get the retest, and again, that, just see how perfect it is. That literally was the very low before obviously we move up to 11k. So it's just a really nice position trader's view of the market. Okay, so when you, what I mean by this section here is, when you are, for instance, where we are now, we can actually say we are above value. And for a position trader, okay, that is trading very rarely, they are going to not be so happy, to be honest, about buying so far away from the volume, the average volume price. You could say that this is, buying quite high. And so when price does dip down into it the next time, I would very much expect a reaction. Okay, just like here, when you get your first move away from it, you get a very strong reaction off of the level. Now we are very much trending upwards. You would expect this yearly VWAP to, next time it's touched, to get a very strong reaction. So the first time you start to touch this in a trend, one would expect, okay, a very strong reaction. Again, there's never 100%. Because what I would have expected was this to have a bearish reaction. Okay, the first time you touch this level, you obviously would expect a rejection. But obviously the context behind this was, we had just, well, clearly see we were making higher highs and higher lows. There was no trend reversal at all during this moment in time. Okay, and it was also just a massive short squeeze. You short squeezed the whole way through it. So, context is very important. Why you didn't reject there, I don't think many people shorted this level. Okay, you go straight through it and then you get it and the retest. But I mean, I don't really use this on the high term timeframes like this. It's not a tool that I use. I just wanted to mention this to start with, that you definitely can use it for this if you like that. what I will say about this, by the way, is obviously I'm aware, in the daily updates, I give you the weekly VWAP every day, because that is a level that gets interacted with quite often, the weekly VWAP. So obviously this is a level that you really want to be aware of, because of the fact, the weekly VWAP is a strong SR level, whereas this is obviously a yearly VWAP. So you're going to touch this, a few times a year, whereas a weekly VWAP you obviously interact with. Just so you're aware, by the way, you have session VWAP, which is what I use for scalp trading. You can have daily VWAP, you can have monthly VWAP, you can have yearly VWAP, you can have quarterly VWAP, or you can have like a decade VWAP, or what you can also do is anchor a VWAP. Okay, and I'm going to give you examples of all of them tonight. Okay, well, actually I'm going to go through primarily the session VWAP tonight, because that's what I use, although I'll let you be aware of these other things, but I want to go over how I'm trading rather than just everything. So this is an example of the session VWAP. So what we can say here is, when it's lining up with another confluence level, such as Fibonacci or point of control, I mean, it's just been crazy. Like this week has just been giving very, very nice trades. So this is the volume weighted average price. Again, it's taking, the calculations were going from the price and the volume to come together to give us just a very strong SR level. Okay, and what you have is, for example, when you start the downtrend, when you're going from high to low, you're seeing confluence at each of these rises, which is just lovely. Of my mouse gone. Of a confluence of high to low CC on the VWAP rejection, high to low CC rejection, high to low. You obviously don't quite hit the VWAP here, but nevertheless a CC / support resistance flip, come back down, high to low CC on the VWAP, you come back down again. It's like when you see the fibs, like a CC fib in particular, but when you see these fibs on the VWAP in a trending market, it's just a very strong level. Okay, and you can see this is the session VWAP that I have here. Okay, if you have any questions, please save your questions towards the end, because it's likely that I cover some of your questions, by the way. But and this is the session VWAP that we can see here, just a very strong SR level. Okay, and here we see the session once again, and you can see how it just acts as a very nice resistance, support, resistance, resistance, back into support. Okay, it's just a strong SR level on these lower term time frames. And this is where I'm loving to trade at the moment. And this is across in exo charts. And so recently, exo charts added this in. They never used to have, the VWAP. And they recently have added this in. And since they've added it on exo, I think it's where I've really started just loving it, to be honest with you. And so I've been using it. I've been noticing it more, because obviously I've always known what the VWAP is. But if I'm honest, I've never really used it so much in cryptocurrency. But since they've added it on exo, I've been using it more and more, and I've just found that it's it's just so nice. So really what you can see is this here that I have highlighted, this bar is the point of control, by the way. But you can see how the level of the VWAP, which is this yellow line, is acting as support, and then you get a little SR flip off of the level, which is ultimately, I would have longed this level, which obviously results in a loss, to be honest. But then when you retest, it's again the point of control. This section here is the point of control on a VWAP. So here, when you have confluence with a VWAP and point of control, it's recently entering really nice trades. I'll be honest with you, because I've only recently started using this for cryptocurrency trading, I don't have the statistics that I would really like to share. I just don't have the statistics on this, because for me, to be honest with you, like, it's quite of a new thing that I've just started doing inside of scalp trading on Bitcoin. So I don't have the statistics to really, say that this is amazing back testing and everything. But I mean, recently I just really wanted to share this, because it's just giving insane win rates lately. So that's the one negative part of this, that I haven't been testing it for years as I have other tools. So I don't have all of that information, but so far it's going extremely well, but nevertheless, this is all live action and what I'm showing you here. So when we're seeing it on the point of control in the VWAP, this is giving really great trades. Okay, so here we see another example where we have the VWAP with point of control and 6/6 confluence. So when we're going, sorry, I missed off the lows, but from highs to lows onto a CC, onto a point of control, onto VWAP, it's just giving a really nice trade. And you can see how the VWAP here is resistance, resistance, broken through. Again, I would have shorted this level, but you kind of get a drawdown off of the level, resistance into support, you break through it, and then you test it as support, you get another rise. So you can just see, we'll load up the charts in a second, but you can see how this is just, yeah, I'm loving it. Because if I'm honest, it's hard to, I'm just loving it because of the fact it is just a really strong level at the moment, so strong. So here we have another really nice example. Again, this is all from this past 7 days, where we are seeing resistance to support to support to resistance, and here what was really nice about this example is that this VWAP was also the weekly value area high. So again, we are only looking to trade this with Confluence. We would never just buy or sell the VWAP on its own. But when we are seeing it with Confluence, such as what in this example was the weekly value area high, we're seeing it in Confluence with a point of control, with a Fibonacci level, okay? Maybe just something as simple as the order book. It's just giving very powerful trades, okay? That's what I would say. So this is another example, and this is a good one. Okay, so here we have the volume weighted average price with a support resistance flip with a liquidity level. Okay, the volume weighted average price is on top of the TPO value area high and the volume daily point of control below that level. Just so you're aware, I know that I'm going over some things I haven't covered thus far. You know, TPO is definitely coming soon, but just so you're aware, this is the TPO point of control, by the way, not the volume point of control. But what I like about this is that you have the VWAP, the T point of control, and the daily point of control with volume, okay, basically on the level. Okay, and then you obviously have the daily value area low below you. So this is coming together your TPOs, your volume, and an SR level and liquidity grabs just all in one. It's just hard to contain excitement when you see such levels, okay? So this trade was really interesting that I want to share with you here, okay? So as you can see, you kind of have this SR level off of this, don't you? So resistance, support, support, resistance, resistance, broken through, back into support kind of thing, don't you? And what I mean by the liquidity grab, by the way, is this. So this last high, okay, the way that you take the high and then you come back down below. That's the liquidity grab that I'm on about, by the way. So it's little small moves like this, but they obviously add up over the course of the day. But what we are seeing there is the TPO, the volume and the volume weighted average price coming together to just give, well, you can see for yourself, like this is a live example, not handpicked or anything. That was literally when we were at 330, what, 4 days ago. Yeah, just you can't make it up how good it's been. So this is the trade example that I wanted to show you here because of how we were trading it from, you know, I think other people took the trade. So once it took that high down to the VWAP, okay? So you can see this is part 2. So this is a zoomed in version of this, okay? So on that bit, on that action there, you can see basically a $10 scalp trade for short from a micro support resistance to a, you know, and you also had a bearish order book to the volume weighted average price where I switched long. So as you can see here, I like to show the orders just to, you know, why not? Because this was literally a short from 9,442, which was on this candle here, the high, okay, which was from the small liquidity grab, to then taking profits 9,332, which was the volume weighted average price. On that, I did not switch long straight away, by the way. I actually then waited for us to get back above 9,942. Then I went into long about 2 minutes later. But what I wanted to emphasize on this is the fact we're scalp trading, okay? So as you can see here, that is a $10 move, which took from entry, okay, to exit about 10 minutes. 10 minutes for a $10 move. Sometimes this can literally happen in 1 minute. Sometimes it, you know, here it takes 10 minutes. So when we're scalp trading, we are not holding trades for a long time. Obviously, the way that we're using our invalidation is once we have our reference level, if you enter the trade and it then gets above the reference level, you close out that trade, obviously, for a loss. So you have to be very much non-emotional when you're taking these trades. Seeing the trades, you already know when you're taking it where your exit is and, you know, where you're obviously taking profit and invalidation. And the real emphasis that I'm using these you know, when I'm trading off the VWAP here, the emphasis is I'm after you know, in the end closing out for $9.5 moves, sort of like single digit moves. So the trades are really, really, really small. But as you can see, getting in at limit, getting out at limit obviously helps with this. But yeah, this is the main, what I wanted to emphasize here, that a lot of these scalp trades, they're really, really, really small. But you take many of these $5-10 moves and they obviously add up greatly over the course of the day. So if you take, for example, 50 $5 moves, okay, then you are, you get great profits by the end of it, basically. So I wanted to show you this, that, how you then can just see, trading off these levels, and it works really well, because, by the way, that was a flip that led us up through 10K. But, yeah, that was just an example that I wanted to give you. So I want to ask you all the question. As you know, that I am primarily trading this off of scalp trades. So I want to ask you this question. This is obviously our view of the chart here. And again, this is what it was like in the time. You have the volume weighted average price. And really we're focusing on the point of control here from the TPO chart and how it was confluenced with the volume daily point of control. So you're seeing TPO and volume coming together there. So that's a strong level. I want to ask you this question. How many trades do you see in this screen? If I showed you this, how many trades do you think there are here? Do you see one trade? Do you see maybe 3 trades? Okay, you might think high, low. Maybe you just see 2 trades here, high and a low. I mean, think about this for a minute. How many trades do you think have been taken from my perspective, okay, from scalp trading this for the day? How many trades do you see there? Okay, I want you to think about that for a second. I will now tell you. So this is what you call scalp trading, by the way. So from this chart, this is all of the trades taken. So I've designated this with winners and losers, and S for short, long for obviously long, L for long, sorry. So you can see for the original, so the volume weighted average price, how we go from a short, long, short, stopped out, because of the fact what you are seeing here is the top of the high, which is by the way also the value area high. So you see the value area high with the on top of the VWAP, again confluence, where you're seeing the resistance here, and you obviously get a short back onto the point of control for a long, back up to obviously trying to then short again if you're expecting then the range to continue here. You want to keep doing that. So again, shorting the next attempt, but obviously getting stopped out as it gets through. Then as it has stopped you out of the short, you then get the retest of the volume weighted average price to the dollar here. Okay, and you can see how it's a resistance support flip on to the highs. Why was this a short? Because it was 10K psychological. The first tests of big psychological levels like this, you generally expect rejections. As you know, we actually got through this in the end and we went straight to $11,000, which the first time it was tested got a rejection, but obviously you expected to get through on the second or third attempts at those psychological levels because they're not big. But anyway, you rejected there, and then you come back down to the volume weighted average price, where again you bounce off of it to the dollar, but because it doesn't hit any, it didn't for me anyway, didn't hit a take profit. Okay, you actually get stopped out of this one as you move back down to, once again, the old range that you were trading. The point of control, time and volume getting together for another move up. And again, we're then trading the range. This mini range, this is a mini range. So then you get up to the volume weighted average price and your confluence, where you've got a fib there. You've got the value area high and you've got the volume weighted average price. For once more, oops, didn't try and do that. You got another short. Okay, back down to the long, back down up to the short, back down to the long, which obviously gets stopped out of. Okay, so stopped out of this trade as you go through the level. Okay, back down to the low. I'll explain this one in a minute because this was actually a swing trade, not a scalp. But anyway, you come back up to the level, which is your now support, resistance. Obviously, I tried to short this, but we got through it, got stopped out. When you come back down to that level once more, though, you can take a long. And then obviously that was a short, back into the long, and we take off, and obviously that's that there, by the way. So that little candle that you see there, that obviously gave those 2 trades right there. Okay, so how many trades did you see in that screen? That was obviously a total of 15 trades. 15 trades. This is in a period of less than, literally a few hours. So, well, a little bit more than a few hours, but nevertheless, not long. Okay, the same period of that trading, which gave 11 wins and 4 losses. Okay, so you can start to see here how we are trading those levels firstly with confluence. Okay, so firstly you're trading firstly you're trading them with confluence. Okay, so we're not only trading the volume weighted average price alone, but when you are seeing this confluence, it's just amazing. Like, I just can't explain how amazing it really has been these past 7 days. It's just been such a powerful tool for scalp traders. Okay, it just gives so many trades. Obviously, yeah, not every single one's won, but firstly the winners are bigger than the losers, and secondly it's given a lot more winners, okay, than it has losers. And this was just a lovely example of that. Okay, you can just see, just from a simple perspective, maybe even as a not even scalp trading, but day trading, if you just take each attempt of this without even trying to long or short any of the other areas, we can just see how perfect it is as that resistance, support, resistance, support flip. Just so powerful. And again, this is the session volume weighted average price. Okay, so then I had to add this one in because, as you know, that long for the swing trade that I have down here, you can see I just had to add this in because that was the low, by the way, that was longed, not taken out. So that $9,857 literally on the 26th of July at 21.00. That was the overall low, by the way, that led us up to $11,400. So that was an insane long trade that I took there, that obviously I was holding for that CME setup. Yeah, that was good. But yeah, that was, again, 16 trades, 12 wins, 4 losses on that one. Okay, and now this is I hope, yeah, you can see all that. So this is, again, the volume weighted average price, but this is now on a daily volume weighted average price, so a bit of a higher term time frame. Okay, so again, this is going to be a swing trader's view of the chart. Okay, so what does a swing trader like to do? Well, the swing trader, when price is above the volume weighted average price, they're going to be waiting for the retraces to this, likely, if they want to add on some volume into their trades, or not just volume, but also think that this is a fair value. So if this is above value, you could say, okay, we're clearly trending up here, but I don't feel so comfortable on a daily profile buying such a exaggerated volume. I want to buy back at fair price. Okay, so I'll buy when it gets back to fair price. Takes off again, you're waiting, gets back to fair price, you take off again. As you can see here, fair price, takes off, fair price. Here you have levels through this, but honestly, as a swing trader, think about this. If you're a swing trader and you have an upward trend, you are not going to be getting stopped out at this point. Yes, you obviously get to it again, to the dollar bounce, but when you come through this level, you're not invalidated by the trend, are you? As long as you hold these bigger, higher lows, okay, which is really from low, high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high. As long as you're not breaking that bigger macro structure of your market structure, you're in no way invalidated. So by buying every retest of the level, you can see how it's very powerful for swing traders here. And again, this is the daily volume weighted average price. Okay, so what can we say about the volume weighted average price when it comes to this? What we can say is 3 things. It's a support, it's a resistance. When obviously, if you're in a downtrend, it's a resistance. When it's in an uptrend, you've got a nice support there. And when you're on sideways, it's a support and resistance level. But what's the main thing that we're really looking for at this level? Confluence. So as with every tool, we are saying to ourselves, we never want to buy off this alone, okay? But we will buy it when we have a confluence. And again, unfortunately, I don't have the statistics at the moment because I need to build them up. But I can just say from what I've been using it recently is that it's working extremely well with other volume tools such as pointer controls, value area highs and lows. Okay, it's just literally a gold mine. it's just insane. And obviously it's really interconnected, isn't it? Because the volume weighted average price is based off of volume. Okay, it's obviously based off your transactions. So get something that's combining the price and the volume, and then using it with volume statistics such as the value area high and pointer controls and value area lows. It's just, yeah, I'm really loving this. So I'm really happy to share this one with you tonight. But yeah, I don't have the statistics built up yet, but I've got 1 week of statistics at the moment, but I like to have much more than that. But from backtesting it was pretty nice, but you can never really trust backtesting. I like to do it myself, like going into the future, but I have 1 week of it built up, and so far so good. But yeah. So does anybody have any questions for the volume weighted average price tonight? Okay, let me know your questions, and I will load up the chart here a second. Okay, and I will show you what it looks like on our different perspectives over on TradingView. Okay, so if we just hide everything off this chart a second, just hide that, and yeah, what we'll do is put on the indicator, and it's called VWAP. So this is obviously our VWAP. Okay, and again, you can change this down onto different time frames. What we'll do is we'll zoom in here locally, and I'll just show you here. So since we really took off, again, this is looking at it on a weekly. So this is how I get the volume weighted average price on the weekly. You can really see how it's taken off, and since that uptrend started, you're seeing support, support, support. So thus far, since we've been trending, every time you'd bought the retest of this level, it's worked as perfect support thus far. Okay, so you can just see how it's a really strong SR level basically. What I want to do is flip this onto session. So this is where I'm primarily using it, and again, we are going to have to zoom in to lower term timeframes to see this. But what I wanted to show you was on that 26th. Okay, so on the 26th at the 9 a.m. low, 9 p.m. low. Okay, that was that level that I defended there. And by the way, I just have to show you this. I'm pretty proud. But that trade that I showed you, that was literally the low before you moved up to 11,400. So what a swing trade idea that was, literally. But obviously, my idea at first was to swing forward the low slightly, but because of the strength that you had initially, and it never swing forward. This is why laddered entries are really good, because if you had got that and then you add on a lot of size, I had to add on my bigger size higher up, but that's why you ladder into a position, and yeah, that's why you ladder. But you can even see here from the session, okay, once it really started the trends, how you then get it support, again, a flip of the level, but support before you, and then you're obviously in a sideways period now. But this is on TradingView, okay, and in here you have session, week, month, year, decade, and century. Okay, I will show you this, by the way, because I think this is extremely valuable. What I really like about TradingView is that they have added in VWAP anchored to specific points. So let me try. I know I've got it loaded in here, so let's just turn on the VWAPs. So you can see here from the VWAP. Okay, so I'm just trying to remind myself which section they've hit it in here. Volume weighted average price. Sorry, I should have reminded myself before we got onto here. I'm just trying to remind myself where they hide these tools. There you go, anchored VWAP. Let's just hide those a second. So the anchored VWAP. Okay, so this is basically, instead of like going off of the weekly VWAP or the daily VWAP or the session VWAP, basically this is an anchored VWAP to a particular point in time. So let's say you have a really big reference level, e.g. the low of the coronavirus drop, okay, the high of the range that you have just put in. These are really important things that have happened in the market, so it's taking from a specific point, and this is an extremely valuable tool when you can select a specific point in time, and then you can see the average volume and price that's happened since that specific time. Well, it's not an average, but so sorry, that was the wrong word to say. It does not working out from an average, but when you can see that the volume and price coming together to give you the volume weighted average price of that. Obviously it's not a moving average, that's what I meant to say. It's not like taking anything from a close, it's taking it from the volume. But when you can select a particular point in time, well, then it's just a really strong tool, okay? And not, yeah, it's just a really strong tool, I suppose, when you are selecting a specific level. And again, this is coming then down to a little bit of knowing a good level to select, I suppose. But for example, let's say we select the 20k high. You can see we will select the 20k high, and then you can see how this is then giving us a volume weighted average price of that exact day. Okay, so since that exact day, we've obviously had our volume weighted average price from these particular points in time. So this is just a really valuable tool to be able to select a particular event that's happened. So maybe our high at the moment, obviously it's not going to have done much. But you can see from like particular events that have happened like this, how then you are able to see, again, just a strong support and resistance line that's not becoming from a daily VWAP or a previous day VWAP or a daily VWAP or session VWAP or anything like that. But it's actually a particular event that's happened, maybe where the volume come in highly. Okay, so that's just a really valuable tool. And again, even TradingView only added that in about like 1 month ago. So these are like really new tools for TradingView. That's literally come on about a month ago. And ExoCharts, they've also recently added it. So yeah, for whatever reason, they both added it recently, and it's just a really nice tool, especially for scalp traders. So I've just been finding it very nice. So let me see if there was any questions about the VWAP work we had tonight. Let's see what we got. One second, just loading up the questions. I'm becoming accustomed to the honey. Let's go. So questions. Hi. When you reclaim point of control, how do you enter? Limit at point of control retest or CC, even if CC is back below point of control. So this is a good question. So when I suppose like let's say we break through the point of control, how would you look to enter? Limit at the point of control, retest or CC, even if it is back to CC. So yeah, the way that I'm trading this at the moment is it is a mixture of market orders, and it is so I'm trading it market and limit, to be honest, some of these trades. But what I'm liking to do when it's these, so when I'm trading like $5 moves, I have to enter a limit. But so what you would like to do is it's a difficult question to answer, because obviously it's impossible to say it's always going to be on the CC or it's always going to be at below or above the point of control. So it's hard to give a really specific answer to this question, if I'm honest. But basically what you'd want to see is once you've broken above that VWAP, okay, so you've broken above it in this type of question, when you then are retesting that level, okay, let's say there is confluence with the daily point of control, then in my opinion, that is a good place to have a limit preset. It's a type of trade that you would expect the first time you retest that level, especially if you're in a trend, to find support. And in my opinion, again, I only have 7 days of data for this, but I have been presetting limit orders on that for scalp trades, and it has been working. Not every time, but it's working very well. Let's just put it like that. So to have it preset on this level, what I have been doing as well as presetting, if I'm after more than a $10 move, so if I'm after a move such as $50, then what I like to do is wait for it to hit that level. Okay, at least see a little bit of a reaction, and then just market buy in. And then I'm happy to pay the fees on the market order, because I'm after a move which is bounced off of a high volume, let's say high volume and the VWAP level. The slippage, firstly, because I'm market buying on the VWAP, the slippage is really small, because we're seeing a lot of liquidity in the order books. So slippage is small, and again, I'm paying like 0.07% for 0.75% for a market order. Like the fee is minuscule when I'm after a move such as $50. So if I'm after that type of trade, then I would wait for the reaction first, because I don't always like to preset orders. But as you can see from some of those examples I gave you today, for example, that $10 move from the liquidity run to the VWAP and then reclaiming the level, that was 3 orders at limit for literally $9 moves. But when you're trading sort of $5-10 moves, you kind of have to use limit orders. But if you're after anything bigger than that, then obviously you can market order once you've seen the reaction, which is obviously a safer way to, quote unquote, safer way to trade with market orders like that. But limit at a point of control retest or CC. So so I hope that that's answered your question. Obviously, it's a little bit difficult to answer it because of the fact it's very it's a bit of a difficult one to answer, because obviously you're never always going to see the VWAP on these levels. But I hope I've answered that. If not, ask it again, but I hope that's answered okay. So Kazar has asked, can you walk us through the 10,880 job you mentioned? That it was very technical. I'll go through Bitcoin at the end. Chris, if you look for the VWAP and fib confluence, are you primarily looking for a CC confluence or fib levels in general? So the way that I've been really like this one. So I've been trading it this week off of CC confluence. So obviously the 61866 and either volume value area high, point of control, or the value area low. And when the VWAP is on any of these levels, that's the confluence that I've been building up and recording. That's been working really well. So are you primarily looking for CC confluence or fib levels in general? So yeah, the answer is yeah, I'm looking for primarily CC confluence. That's obviously my favorite traders off of the CC. Again, if you're in a strong trending market and you're seeing it, for example, on the 382, then obviously it's a good trade. All I would say is you do have to remember that the VWAP lags behind price action. So it's much more likely to see price in a trending market, a fast trending market, to get the VWAP off of a CC than the 382, because the VWAP is going to be lagging behind price. It isn't a leading indicator. It cannot predict price. So, from that perspective, you would expect it at the CC rather than anything higher if you're in a quick move. But yeah, if I'm honest, I've been taking it off of the CC or those 3 volume levels. So that should hopefully answer that question as well. Matic. His invalidation is an open high low close at the other side of the VWAP. So really the answer to this question is, let's say if you're trading off of, let's say that we're longing a point of control and the VWAP and it gets that small $5 bounce. Well, the invalidation for me, if I'm only after a really small move, is actually just going $1 below the level that I was looking to buy. I'm very, very, very tight on my invalidations, especially if I've just bought in at market. It pains me sometimes to buy in at market and get out at market, but that's just it's just the price of doing business. Sometimes that does happen. But for me, if I'm buying off of a reference level that I want to see hold, and for many of these scalp trades, you are literally trading off of almost dollar moves, there's very little leeway. So you basically, if you've seen an exact dollar that you want to buy and then you get the initial bounce off of that exact dollar, well, then going back through that level is just, that's for me how tight I will be on my invalidations. I can be that tight on these invalidations. Firstly, I'm trading really small moves. So if price is invalidating me by going through that reference level that I'm expecting to hold, well, I want to get out as quick as possible because it's not doing what I expected. So invalidation is the other side of the VWAP. Essentially, yes. But remember that sometimes your VWAP is going to be, again, it could be like $5 away from your other reference level. So going through the VWAP is not so bad as long as it doesn't get through your secondary reference level, because it's unlikely they're going to be at the exact dollar like on each other. There are going to be a little bit of leeway between the two levels, but that's where you could ladder in. And if they're very close, you could have, for example, 3 laddered entry, slight front run by $1 of the VWAP on the VWAP, and then your third reference level. That's an idea that you can do. But yeah, the invalidation would be getting through your lower reference level. Okay. Chris, what time frame are you using on Exo for the scalp trees? It's not actually a time. It's not actually a time frame. So I do not trade any of this on time frame charts, to be honest with you. So I think I still got the presentation open here. So this is not a time frame, by the way. So I'm going to do a live stream on how I sculpt, but so I don't really want to. I'm not going to go so in depth, but yeah, this isn't a time frame. This is actually a volume chart. So each one of these candles is created after a specific amount of volume. So this isn't 1 minute time frame. This is not a 5 minute time frame. This is a volume time frame. So you don't have this option on TradingView, obviously, but yeah. So yeah, the time frame. I'm not actually trading a time frame. I'm trading off of volume chart. But you could do this trading off of the 5 minute charts, for example, or a 3 minute chart. It's exactly the same theory, but I'm not trading it. I'm not scalping it off of a time. But I mean, that's not to say it doesn't work. But yeah, you could try this on like a 3 or 5. I'd probably say a 3 minute time frame would be fine. But I'm not recording statistics for the times. But yeah, just because I'm not trading off of them. But I would say try it on a 3 minute time frame. That's a pretty good scalping chart time frame. JH, when you scalp like the chart with the number of VWAP trades counted, do you only enter at limit? If so, how many pips do you use as stop loss? Well, I guess that's kind of been coinciding with the last question. That I will trade this at limit at market, and market kind of depends really how much pips, points, dollars. Obviously you have to it kind of depends on how much I'm going for. If I'm going for, like, in that example that I showed you earlier, if I'm literally going for $10 move, I'm going to be looking at limit in, limit out, because if I'm going in and out at market, then it's just not going to be worth my while. So if I'm going for $5-10 moves, which I will do, then I'm going to be getting in and out at limit. But if I'm going for like I've said earlier, if I'm going for a $50 move, then I'll happily normally wait for a little reaction and then just market buy, market sell. Like, I'm absolutely fine with using market orders if if I'm waiting for a reaction, and if something's had a reaction, then why would I enter a limit? Because more than likely I'm not going to get filled because it's bounced off my reference level. Like, you just have to be okay with using market orders in those circumstances. So and how many pips would I use to stop? So not a good question. But you would never ever base a stop loss off of a certain amount of pips, and anybody that's ever done that is really bad trading. So you would never ever do a stop loss off of a certain amount of pips, dollars, points, whatever, however you want to call it here. But yeah, your stop loss is where you're wrong on the trade. Okay. Form, when you take the loss, closer of candle, yeah, so a mixture of a close of the candle. So really, I would like to get in out as soon as possible. So really, so obviously I'm trading off a volume chart, so if it closes through there, and I'm not sure if you saw the template I'm using, but I like to look at the open interest really closely as long as the trade count. So if you really go through that level on a pretty quick volume, then I'll get out of the trade just instantly. I'll just get out of the trade. So essentially, this is the thing, that we're not actually trading off of time here. Like, my scalping strategy is not off of time, but essentially, yeah, close of the candle. And that's those questions. And apparently we have some more. Let's go over onto YouTube here and let's just see. So there is so there's some people guessing about I think I told you all the answer in the chat the other day, didn't I? I'm pretty sure I gave you all an answer. Anyway, let's go. So we are here up to here. Do you set up soft stop losses as well as scalping with VWAP? And is the VWAP on XOchart same as VWAP in TradingView? Yeah, I use soft stop losses on all of it. So I always use soft stop losses while scalp trading. And the answer is, if anything, the volume weighted average price is better on TradingView, because on TradingView you are going to have the option of changing the let's try and click on that. Let's just click on this. You have the option of changing, obviously, the period. So session, week, month, year, decade, century. You have all of those options. Whereas on XOcharts, okay, you are literally only going to be able to look at the session. This is just a session VWAP, by the way. But you can actually see how your next trade is going to be offered a point of control. And so there you see this. It had a move down, bounced off that point of control to the dollar for a move back up. And now, if you move back down to that level, you got the VWAP inside of that point of control. Like, that is a trade that I'll be taking. That's 11,100. You can monitor that. That for me is a trade. But you can just see how the last time even you touched that point of control to the dollar, bounce. That's live, what's happening right now. But this is the session VWAP. Okay. So I need another drink. With the current move up, how would you make entries when the market is just ripping up so quickly and leaving you behind? Well, I guess I haven't really been left behind on any of this move, but I don't know. I suppose if I was in a position where the market was leaving me behind, well, you just got to wait for the retrace. You've got to wait for those retraces. You don't want to FOMO in, especially if you're a swing trader. So, for example, we had a picture of a swing trader, didn't we? If this isn't the best example, but when you are coming back to those levels, you have to be getting in at that volume. And for example, if the market's trending, well, every time you see this area of coming back to value, then that's when you take the trade, isn't it? So my answer to you would be, you got to wait for a retrace, and if you can get a retrace to value, then don't hesitate, take the trades, sort of thing. But yeah, really simply, you just got to wait for some confluence and get in the market when you can, sort of thing. excuse me. Do you have an echo template or the 1 minute on for eyesight? So I'm So I always switch. So this is the thing. I don't have like a. This is the time frame to use, or this is the for instance, you're saying range 40 chart there to use. Like the amount of volatility depends. So you could be on, for example, my default would probably be 5 million, but then sometimes I'll be switching up to 15 million. Sometimes I'll be on like a delta chart, and sometimes range 40 is an okay range, but for me that's too high. Like for me, range 40 is too high. That's that's pretty not good for scalp. Well, I wouldn't use a range 40 for scalp trading myself, but yeah, for example, you could use something like that. Yeah. Nice tool, Daniel. Which source are you selecting on TradingView? So standard is going to be session. Okay, the higher the levels, obviously the higher the time frame trader you are. So if you're a swing trader, then probably something like the weekly VWAP or daily VWAP. When VWAP is so far away from price action, can you expect the return to VWAP at major confluence? So when price starts to trend, it's well, we can go over to the chart, but it's pretty unlikely. If price is trending strongly, it's pretty unrealistic to think that price is going to return all the way back down to VWAP unless something major happens. Again, it depends on the time frame, but if we go onto the weekly chart here, we'll delete the anchored VWAP and we'll just put on our weekly VWAP. Okay, so it's so hard to click on these things. Let's just do it in here. And we put on the weekly. Okay, I'm trying to think of a nice example of how we could show this actually. So I'm going to have to change it off of to something a bit higher. Okay, let's just going to have to keep it on the yearly for Bitcoin here. But let's say, so I forgot what the question is. The question was. The question was. When VWAP is so far away from price action, can you expect the return? So, I mean, I don't use this for swing trading. Remember that. So, but nevertheless, yeah, if you're so far away from price action, well, you can see how long it took. For instance, in this run up, it only retested it when it lost it. So if you were waiting to buy the retest, you probably would have lost your trades because that would have been a lot of drawdown to take. So, you can see here on this downtrend, for example, how it retests rejection, retest rejection, retest rejection, and then it flips it and then it runs. So although that would have been a bad trade, if you were taking this from a bigger data selection, okay, because obviously if you try and build statistics, you don't look at one period, you have to go back through everything. You can say in this uptrend, well, look at this here, it's acting as a pretty nice support level during the whole of the uptrend. So let's just say really quickly, we can see maybe here it gives 1 winning trade, maybe a loss, 2 winning trades, 3 winning trades, 4 winning trades, and then you lose it. 1 winning trade of a short, 2 winning trades of a short, 3 winning trades of a short, and that one looks like to the exact dollar. You lose it. Losing trades, too choppy, through it again. You would have probably shorted the next retest, again loss, but then you get into that long position and you carry on. So you build up something like that. But I don't like the way that so I'll be honest with you, when I build statistics on something, obviously it's nice to look at back testing and what it's done in the past, but I'm much more interested in actually doing something and then recording how it's going in the future, because what's happened in the past, it does not necessarily mean it's going to keep happening. Yes, of course, if you back test something, it's good to see it work in the past, but I think you're much better off recording things that are happening in the future from now on. I don't know, that's the way that I like to do it anyway. But yeah, so yeah, basically, yeah, when you come back to that level, you would expect a bounce. But I mean, I don't trade it like that. But yeah, that's all I can say to you. Yeah, you would generally expect that level to be a strong SR level. Hey, sorry if question is answered in the video already. I came in late. VWAP on TradingView is different to the one on EXO. No, they're both. Well, EXO is session. On TradingView, you actually have more options. So TradingView one's better. Can you please share your template, Scalp TPO? Yeah, I'm going to do a live stream on Scalp trading. The reason why I don't like to release my templates before I've done a live stream on them is just because otherwise I get inundated with questions, and it just makes my life very difficult, because I release a template that nobody understands, and I've done it once and I just had so many questions. I prefer to release the templates once I've actually covered it. That way nobody That way I just don't get inundated with questions before I've covered it. So that's my answer. Obviously you can, yeah, that's my answer. Another amazing and insightful lesson. Going to use it firstly with replay button on TradingView. Get familiar with scalping. Yeah, that's exactly what I recommend, to try it yourself. But yeah, it's insane at the moment. It's just so strong level, and I can't say why it's such a strong level. It's been amazing using it with those volume confluences. It's just, thus far for the past week for me, the win rate is just amazing. What's the difference between weekly and session? Session is obviously taking it. Session refers to 12 p.m. UTC to 12 p.m. UTC. So the session is basically each day. Each day is one session. Or if you're in a stock market, for example, the session is the stock market open to the stock market close. So the session is the session of that day, which in cryptocurrency is obviously 24 hours. In the stock market is your session of that day. Where to anchor VWAP on TradingView? You mentioned session VWAP. Session VWAP is the one for scalp traders. Yeah. Is there an offset for your VWAP settings? No, standard VWAP settings. Okay, just standard settings. Do you use the weekly session on VWAP TradingView? If I'm honest, no, because I'm not really such a big fan of swing trading. But when I do swing trade, but I must be honest, I in cryptocurrency I've never referred to the VWAP until like 1 week ago when I started using it and just found out this wasn't a really good tool. But so yeah, I have to be honest with you, and I personally don't use the weekly VWAP tool for swing trades in particular, but I always will look at the weekly VWAP, if that makes sense. So I like to know where the weekly VWAP is always, and I've always liked to know where the weekly VWAP is because it's a big SR level, but I would never take a swing trade off of the weekly VWAP, if that makes sense. So basically, I don't know, I hope that answers your question. So I always want to know where it is, and I've always wanted to know where it is, but I would never take a trade off of it. Okay, it's just for me a really important reference level. But from a swing trade perspective, I wouldn't trade off of that weekly VWAP, but I would always want to know where it is. Okay, to know whether we're above or below value, basically. How do you change the anchor period for? You cannot change it on XO charts. So XO charts, you can't change it. Evening mate question: can you please share the settings for time volume you are? I know Igor knows how to use it, so I might share it. I'm just gonna have to say the answer that I've said to everyone else, Igor, and that is at the moment I'm not going to share it just because I haven't done I'm debating should I share it or not. I just don't want to share it and then have loads of questions, Basically, what I would say is you can come over to XO charts or TradingView and change your periodicity to something, for example, like let's say 10 million delta chart. Okay, and then you would switch on to, you could use this as your standard, something like probably a delta ladder. Okay, and then from here you could throw on your VWAP. Okay, and this is obviously now starting to trade not off of time frame periods. It's just it requires a really in-depth lesson on why you use different periods. It's really hard to explain in 2 minutes. The advantages and disadvantages of all this. That's why I want to do a lesson on it. But so yeah, I'm gonna have to say no, I think, for the minute, but just because I know otherwise I'm just gonna get so many questions. But I mean, going back over to TradingView, which is obviously a standard, then using something like obviously here you just don't have the option of anything other than time. So you can go on to a 5-minute time frame and then add on your VWAP, and then you can at least practice using the VWAP off of your time-based charts. And I think that's what I'd recommend to everybody for now, because on TradingView you only have the option of time. So that's what I would say for the time being. Try this on the 15 and 5-minute charts. Although obviously on XO charts you have more options, but to go through the advantages and disadvantages of all of this, I'll do that in another video. But obviously you can just add on the VWAP on a time frame like the 1 hour here, and look at it like that, or look at it over on TradingView and adding the session VWAP off of a 15-minute or 5-minute chart, for example. What I would say is the 3-minute chart probably works well. Let's see if there was any other questions. Let's close that. And that's all the questions then. Cool, so that's all the questions. Yeah, so I was going to, let me just finish off and then I'll go over Bitcoin in a second. Okay, so let's go back to where we were here. So yeah, obviously I just would like to say, obviously we've got the next Champions live stream over on Sunday. We're edging closer and closer and closer to the World Series of Trading. And obviously the World Series of Trading, I'm going to be, it's going to be nice for you all because I'm going to be giving you literally the entries, the exits, and the stop losses. So obviously it's going to be almost like a signals call group for a little while. But also I want to use that opportunity to really, you'll be able to get into my mind really, won't you? You'll be able to see why I'm entering somewhere, why I'm taking a stop loss somewhere, and why I'm placing a take profit somewhere. So I'm going to focus this on the educational side, but you got that to look forward to, by the way. But on the next Champions live stream, yeah, we'll just go standard format of looking for some swing trades, going through plans. Okay, and so the summary of today's contenders live stream covering the volume weighted average price, primarily what I use from obviously the session volume weighted average price for scalp trading. Okay, the volume weighted average price is obviously great for scalping. It can be, though, used on all time frames. This is not particular to the volume charts. This is not particular to the delta charts. This is not particular to the 1 minute chart. This is not particular to the weekly chart. This can be used on everything. Okay, everything it can be used on. So I'm not saying something's right or something's wrong. I'm saying you can literally use this on every single time frame. Okay, so it's a very, very, very powerful tool. For just session is really good. Okay, so session is really good for scalp traders, but you move that up to the daily or the weekly, and this is something that you always want to be aware of. Like on everything you trade, you really honestly want to know where the weekly volume weighted average price is. That is a very, very, very big reference level to be aware of. Okay, and lastly, yes, you always need confluence while trading with the VWAP. If you do ever try and trade off of this alone, it's just a gamble. You're just gambling. So you want to always make sure you have at least 2, preferably more, confluences at the level, and then you have a confluence. Then you're no longer taking a gamble off of the VWAP, but you're actually starting to see technical confluence come together. Okay. As always, context, 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 context. If you understand the context of why something's moving up, where it's like to pull back to, well, then you can get confluence just times by 10. So ending with the quote that when scalping, I trade before I think, emotionless like a robot. So on many of these trades that I take, I get asked questions like, Daniel, where are you placing your stop loss? Where are you placing your take profit? Where's your validation? Like when I take the trades, I'm literally just taking the trade. Obviously, I have planned out in my head what I'm going to do, but I'm not writing down plans before I take any scalp trade. Literally, because in 5 minutes I could take 5 different trades, then I don't have time to be thinking to myself, right, entry, stop loss, take profit, entry, stop loss. It should be, everything is so visual, everything is so natural, and everything is just like the back of your hand. You're just so used to doing the same thing over and over and over again. Scalp trade, this is the massive difference between scalp trading and swing trading, that scalp trading is, you just don't have time to even overthink things. So you just get in, you get out, you get in, you get out, you get in, you get out. And before someone's even thought about getting in, you've already done 10 trades sort of thing. So yeah, scalp trading, very fast paced. So if you like that fast paced action, then obviously it's great. But you got to know what you like. Today's video has been obviously primarily on the lower term timeframes, but I know, 50% of the group don't like low term time frames. So if that's the case, stick to looking at the weekly VWAP, but yeah, for scalp trading, this is a gold mine at the moment. The session VWAP is just great. So I recommend you now go and practice with the VWAP, okay, across all time frames. See what works for you, see what confluences you are finding. I'm liking it off of obviously our 3 the volume area low, the volume area high, and the point of control. I also like it with a CC. So those are 4 reference levels I can tell you are working really well, but I do recommend you test this out yourself to see what works for you and your style. But yeah, that is today's video on the volume weighted average price. Now you know what the volume weighted average price is and how you can use it in your trades. Again, you can use this on every asset in the world and across any time frame. So very, very powerful tool, and something that bigger traders are always going to be aware of. Like 100%, if you're trading with size, you always want to know where that volume weighted average price is. So very powerful. Yeah, obviously, hope you've enjoyed this live stream. I think I'll have to prioritize going over the scalping because I can imagine that's going to be requested. So anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this session. Hope you've learned something new today and you're excited to go and try this out, because honestly, now is the best time to go and try that. So yeah, I look forward to looking at your results. I will continue to build my statistics, and yeah, just everybody, I'll catch you on Sunday for the Champions live stream. We'll be doing some live trading, and you can see me using this tool in action, which will be cool. So yeah, cheers everybody. Thank you. Have a brilliant evening, and goodbye. Cheers.